Well, good evening and welcome to the last tackle here on the Sportsman Rugby League, your one-stop shop every week for all the news, all the talk, the latest in the world of rugby league. Joined this week by Kevin Brown and Adrian Morley, and there's obviously a theme with you two gents, both England internationals. We'll come on to that shortly, but loads to get through this week. Let's have a quick skip through the action from the Betfred Super League, and the first result is a bit of an interesting one given how Leeds were doing the week before, Kev, because they went down 30 points to 16 to Huddersfield.
Yeah, Leeds are probably where Huddersfield were last year for me. They've got a new coach, he's come in and made an impact, but I think consistently it'll take a little bit longer. I think what Ian Watson's done at Huddersfield with a disappointment with a cup, he sandwiched 2 wins before it and 2 wins after it. You'd have to make them a genuine contender now. So Huddersfield are, making a little bit of noise, and I'm sure some of the big boys are turning their heads, but Leeds, I just feel that it'll take them a little bit longer under Owen Smith to fully be that team that he wants.
Salford Moz, they went down 12 points to 30 against Wigan. That was really close though for about an hour, that game, and then Wigan turned the screw a bit. I guess similar to what we've just said about Leeds and Huddersfield last season, Salford hit and miss. You can see what's happening, you can see what they're trying to do, they're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, not quite there yet, but they have been competing very well. They ran Wigan close in the fixture away. They ran St Helens close away not too long ago, so it was close, but they just need to turn them losses into wins. But it's a work in progress, and I think Paul Rowley will be reasonably happy the way they are at the minute. There's a lot of improvement in them, and if they can retain all the squad for next year, I'm sure we'll see a better Salford.
Kev, it's difficult to see where the wheels fall off for Wigan. I'm not convinced they will. They just seem to be going from strength to strength.
Well, it just must be an headache for any team defending against them. Last year, without French and Field, they were very good, just couldn't get enough points. And this year, I thought Salford were banging that game up to half-time, and they put a few kicks in and away from Field, and French gets it and gallops down the touchline and fires Field, and ultimately they just need half a chance. So defending against them, and if you do kick away from them, they've got Liam Marshall on the other side, and you put Harry Smith's form in there as well. I just think the variety of attack and the way that they're balanced, they look a very happy team at the minute, and any slight chance, if you don't put Wigan away, they've got so much attacking power they'll hurt you.
I said last week, Kev, I was worried for Hull FC going to Catalans given the loss of Jake Connor and the way they've been. My worries were proved to be founded because they really struggled. 36-8 they lost.
Yeah.
It is concerning if you're a Hull FC fan.
Well, it was concerning before the game, the way they nosedived against Wakefield when he got injured. They were winning, I think, 18 points to 6 and ended up losing that game by a point. And then they've gone away to France, and 36 points to 8 is a hammering. So if you're in that squad or you're a supporter of that squad and you was worried going into the game, with a lack of opportunities that you might miss without Jake being there, I think he's got 27 try assists this year. So someone's going to have to take over. I think Luke Gale and Josh Reynolds really need to step up now, and I think that's been part of the problem this year when them three have never been together for a consistent period. When Jake's been in, Gailey or Reynolds has been banned or injured, and they've just never had that continuity. So I feel a little bit sorry for Brett Hodgson and the team, because all good teams need the best players on the field at the same time.
I just thought, the Catalan Dragons as well, there was always going to be a reaction as well, having got beat the week before off a good Huddersfield side. They very rarely get beat at home, and it was a bit of a shock. So I think Steve Mack would have been cracking the whip all week, and whoever would have played him last weekend would have possibly got a good hiding like Hull FC did.
You're both Warrington alumni. Moz, I'll come to you. What on earth is going on?
Yeah, it's a massive concern for the Warrington club. They were very poor the week before against Leeds, getting 40 put past them at home, and again you'd want a reaction, and to get beat away at Wakefield, that's the third time this year Wakefield has beat Warrington. So I don't know what's going on there. I can't put my finger on it, but speaking to the players, it seems to be a happy camp. Everyone's saying the right things, but it all comes down to winning games, and to get a loss over there, unacceptable. For everyone involved at the club. So yeah, I don't know where Daryl Powell goes. I think he's had enough time at the minute. You would think you'd see an improvement and a few better performances, but we're not seeing that at the minute.
We'll move on. St Helens, Hull KR, Kev. Hull KR obviously lost this game, but they came into it on the back of a good performance against Salford, obviously a reasonable performance against St Helens as well, and I just wonder if that break for the cup final came at the right time for them, because they do seem to have kind of settled everything down and are just starting to look like they were 6-8 weeks ago again.
Yeah, they seem like the loss of and the disappointment of Tony Smith leaving at the end of the year is sort of out their heads, because that definitely affected them. As soon as Tony said he was leaving, the results and performances, they really did go downhill. So I think the fact that they've gone to Saints, not many teams go to Saints and win, but the fact they went there and they were real competitive shows that they're doing well. But for Saints, they're still winning games, but they're beatable now, aren't they? Without Dodd, there's a few busted. Johnny Lomax is clearly playing injured. I think all the teams, Huddersfield and Wigan and Leeds and them teams now, will be looking up and thinking, we can have a go at these.
I just wonder at the end of this season, moving on to Toulouse Castleford, if we're going to look at the bottom end of the table and just think Toulouse might be like literally 10 points across the whole competition, across games, away from staying up, because they're coming so close time and time again.
Yeah, they should have beat Wigan, shouldn't they, at the start of the year? They've lost a couple of games by, and a score in this one. I think Corey Norman, the more I watch him play, the more you think Toulouse are going to get wins. So by no means are Salford, Wakefield and Warrington safe on 10 points when Toulouse are sat on 4. And like you say, Lewis, another time in another league, they could be sat on 10 points with them. So all them teams will be worried and looking down, thinking we've got to make sure we get some more wins.
Just before we move on, we brought you Swinton versus Rochdale from Betfred League One here on the Sportsman at the weekend. And Kev, we spoke about Raggy Chase before the game and what he can do. Moz, you used to play with him for England and Salford, of course. He did this at the weekend, which was just utterly unbelievable. One of the reasons I enjoy watching him play so much. Kev, you as a halfback,
when does that come into your brain? I could never, that never came into my brain, because I'd try and do it and it'd go over someone's head and I'd get knocked out. So my coach has always said to me, do what you can do, and I could never do that. And that's why playing against Rangi sometimes you'd almost be better shutting your eyes and not looking at the ball, because he'd have it through his top and round his back. And we mentioned the dummy he did against Catalan against Damien Blanche, where he went round his back. And we said Blanche is still sat there now, and I think that defender, he's still going this way and looking for Rangi. So obviously Moz played with him.
Yeah, it's probably one of them, if not the most gifted player I've ever played with, and I've played with a few. The only problem with Rangi is I don't think he knows what he's going to do next. So didn't give the rest of it a chance to see what he can do. But I was involved in that game at the Willows. At the AJ Bell, when he flicked it round his back, and the best try I've probably been on the same team as, and just incredible skill, and to showcase it like he does is fantastic. Bit of a nightmare for the coach, but you can't doubt his talent.
Yeah, brilliant that at the weekend. Live here on the Sportsman, of course. It's time to put the domestic game on hold for a week, because this weekend, of course, it is all about England.
This is a crucial game.
This is a massive test.
Then Farrell breaks through, and Liam Farrell to McGilvray gets the try. The break is on, and it's Morgan Knowles out of nowhere.
Amy Hardcastle, she starts through. It's going to be the first try of the afternoon. It's going to be England. It's going to be Amy Hardcastle. Beautifully taken by Patrick Tortine. Back inside, and France get their first and probably only try of the game. Rudge stays on her feet, and Rudge goes in.
Yeah, that's the double header at Warrington on Saturday. It's a triple header across the weekend because the wheelchair team are in action as well. Moz, you've pulled on an England and Great Britain shirt more than anyone else. Regardless of the opposition, the competition, where it is in the world you're playing, it's always a massive honour, isn't it?
Oh, when people ask me, what's your proudest moment in rugby league, I'll always say representing my country, whether that be England or Great Britain. It's something very, very special to do. You're doing it with the elite players in your competition, and I was very lucky to do it for a long time and many times, and I never got sick of it. 16 years I was an international forward, but it still wasn't enough for me. I wanted more and more, and when you're lining up singing the national anthem and all the hairs on your neck stand up. It's very, very hard to describe that feeling. So very excited to see the England boys on duty this weekend, and I'm sure you'll see a lot of passion and a lot of pride, and that's what we're hoping for.
Kev, the international game has probably suffered more than any other part of the professional game since COVID. It's blown it to bits. Shaun Wane took over literally 6 weeks before the first lockdown. We lost the Test series against Australia. World Cup's been pushed back. We still don't really know, do we, what Shaun Wane's England looks like and what to expect in a few months' time at the World Cup.
Yeah, and there's some players in there that we know what they're about, and like you say, there's some that we don't. I think Jake Wardle, Matty Ashton, some of these players, we don't know how they're going to perform on the international stage, and some of the teams in Australia and New Zealand and Tonga won't know how much pace Matty Ashton's got, so it could be a real good tactic. I think the game itself, I think there's some real intriguing battles. I think Darrell Clark and Cruz Lehman especially, playing for the Exiles. We saw last year with Jermaine McGillivray, I think he got the player of the match, and Jake Connor. So there's some interesting lineups, and there's some people in there, I think, playing for positions and playing for a spot in the World Cup. But like Moz says, my dream was just play for England once, and when I did that, it was the best moment of my life. So regardless of the game, regardless of your opposition, as you're playing for your country, and it'll be a magnificent day for everyone.
Yeah, 4 months away from the World Cup opener, 4 days away from England against the Combined Nations All-Stars. Let's hear now from their head coach, Shaun Wane. Shaun, how excited are you that it's game week and you get to take England into another international test match?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be dealing with the players, and I do it in a small way with in my wigging job, but to get the players here and some of the best players in our country playing for England, it's very, very exciting.
Some players are coming back into the setup, some debutants as well. How nice are those phone calls to make to the likes of Callum Watkins and Mike McMeekin and people like that?
Yeah, it's good. It's really, really good, and the way they took it was so impressive, and it showed me they got desire to play for England. So enjoyable ones, but I've also let some players out who are not far off, and I've informed them that the door's never closed. I'll always be looking at them. So Reece Lynn's not playing this weekend, but if he kills it with his form for Wakefield going into the end of the season, then he'll play the World Cup.
And the All-Star squad looks strong. It's going to be another international standard test match, isn't it?
Yeah, and the GPS scores from last year, it was a test match. So I'm hoping for the same again. It's been a standalone fixture, which I'm very grateful for, and we've got some really good players going at it, so I'm excited.
And in Ellery Hanley and Andrew Henderson, two coaches that will put together a strong side. It must be really important that you come up against a team that's not only strong individuals but that's well put together and test you in different ways tactically. Yeah,
they'll want to win, there's no doubt about that. Just like I want to win, and they're both very smart rugby men. And you can see the way they played last year. The players will want to win. It's just in them. So, and that's why people need to get along on Saturday, get behind our country, make sure it's a great atmosphere, and hopefully can see us win the game.
Yeah, Shaun Wane there. There was plenty of players missing from this England squad that we would hope or expect to be there. The NRL-based players, as players of injuries, of course, the likes of Johnny Lomax. But a fantastic opportunity, as he alluded to there, for players to really stamp their mark on a jersey and make it theirs.
Oh, very much so. You mentioned the NRL boys. They'll probably be a shoe-in for the squad. But you're right, it's these guys. Great opportunity, and throughout the history of England and Great Britain, you could get a great club player, but as soon as they get the opportunity and represent the country, they go up another level. So it gives us a chance to show what these boys are, and if they want a World Cup squad jersey, it's for up to them to step up and deliver now. So I'm excited, even though there's a few boys missing, it's still England at the end of the day, and very, very exciting. I just got excited there watching Shaun Wane talking about it, and you could see the passion inside Wane, and if it rubs off on the squad, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that is one of the things I think about Shaun Wane as England coach, is that he loves that job. It is his dream job, I think. Kev, forgive me, I'm going to take you back to the World Cup final 2017. An ankle tap away from winning in that game. You were obviously involved. It must be painful for the players that are involved in that to walk away from a final and knowing that it's 4 years at least until you get another crack at it?
Yeah, well, that was my last ever game, so it is painful, and I'm glad you brought it up. So, but no, when you put you mentioned GPS there, and when you invest so much energy, I think that's the difference with international. Like Moz says, you take yourself to that next level in terms of intensity, but you know you can't help but love what Shaun Wane's about, the passion, and I'm just really happy. The man who got ankle tapped, Callum Watkins, he's had a horrific run of injuries since then, and he's come out of the other side. I think he's been terrific this year, and it's great that he's going to be in that squad. I think he's one of the best back rows in the comp at the minute. He's transformed how he's played. Instead of playing right centre, he's playing left back row, right back row, and I think he'll be in there on merit. So yeah, thanks for bringing it up. But
well, you've done the job for me, Kev. The reason I brought it up was because we've got Callum Watkins coming up next, so you've done the link for me. As Kev's alluded to, here is Callum Watkins, the man who was an ankle tap away from scoring what would have been one of the most famous tries in English Rugby League history. Callum, after a real rollercoaster few years for you, it must be really satisfying and nice to be back in the England setup.
Yeah, it's really nice, mate, and it's been a long time. Last World Cup was the last time I was part of an England setup. Came in now and again with Wane and his team a couple of seasons ago. So apart from that, I've not been really part of a group and in a camp for a while. So you know, I'm really grateful for the opportunity again, and looking forward to spending time with the boys this week.
It must always be special being involved in an England camp and an England team, but of course there's a World Cup round the corner. Does that give it some extra significance and motivation this week?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's massive that obviously we've got a good group here together this week. I know there's obviously a couple of guys that are missing out or through injury or whatever, and for us it's just about getting to know each other even more and then building up towards the World Cup, and got a tough game at the weekend as well, so we're going to be tested, and that's for sure.
Obviously we all know what happened in the last World Cup and that World Cup final, how close you were in particular. Does that give you extra motivation to be involved this time around again and try and put it right?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like I said, the last time I played in an England shirt was that game, and to come back obviously after a couple of years that I've been up and down, it's been quite a story really, and it would be nice to be part of that squad through the end of the year. So for me, yeah, it always brings more motivation, especially when you're playing for England. It's the biggest thing. It's the pinnacle of a rugby league player's career. So to be part of that and to be part of a World Cup would be amazing. Never thought it would happen, but you know, had a bit of fortunate luck really with obviously it being postponed for a year. So no, if I did that last year, I wouldn't have been able to play because of my injury. So you know, things happen for a reason really, and getting an opportunity to be part of the group right now is massive. So more motivation to get involved for next year, for this year.
Yeah, great to see Callum Watkins back in the England side after a really difficult few years for him. Some breaking news this morning, by the way, as you'd have seen on that shirt, Betfred have extended their partnership with Rugby League. They're now going to be England sponsors for 2 years, so that will take us through the World Cup, and hopefully there will be the shirts that are being worn at Old Trafford when England win the World Cup at the end of this season. This is a really tough fixture for England, Moz. When you go through that All-Star side, the talent is there as well, but also they're playing for a lot, because when you speak to those players, they're all talking about their personal culture and background and what it means to them.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you know, when you do go overseas to ply your trade, the chance to represent your country, you know, that normally goes out the window. So this is a great chance for them boys to play representative rugby league against one of the favourites for the World Cup in England. So they'll be out there to do themselves proud, to do their heritage proud. So I remember playing in the first one when they got the Exiles back into it in 2011, and it was absolutely brutal game, and I expect this to be no different. You know, them boys are going to be up for it. It's going to be a big test for England. They got beat in the corresponding fixture last year, so it's going to be a great test for England, but also hopefully a great game. Yeah, the All-Stars will definitely be fired up, and they are being coached, of course, by one of the greatest to ever do it. Ellery Hanley has come out of retirement to coach the All-Stars for this game, and we can hear from him now.
Ellery, you're back in the arena of being a rugby league head coach again. How's that been the last couple of days and weeks, months preparing for this?
Well, the most difficult part was probably this last round of weekend games, really, hoping that all your players will come through from injuries and no suspensions, and it's been quite the opposite. So it's been challenging from that point of view, but let me tell you, it's been delightful and enjoyable, and I owe everything to Rugby League, and I'm indebted to them completely. And when I was first asked about doing the job, I couldn't turn it down, simply because, as I said to you, just repeating, I'm indebted to Rugby League for everything they've done for me. So it's an honour to do this and to work with the classic players and brilliance of all the players in this squad is absolutely fantastic.
I've just sat down with two of your players, Cruz Lehman and Shaun Wane. One of the things that struck me speaking to them was their kind of the passion and pride that they have in representing their cultures, and I defy anyone to speak to them or any of the players in that room and be critical of this concept when you see how passionate they are about playing for their individual countries and cultures.
That's absolutely right. That was borne out to me when I first made my first phone call, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. I made my first phone call to Chris Satay I'd like to send him an invitation to join the combined nation side, the 30-man squad and everything. And the energy was incredible down the phone when I rang him up and I mentioned it to him, that he was so excited and he was so honoured and he was so humbled by it. And that was the case of, I rang every single player, the 30-man squad, and I spoke to them about sending them invitation over to play for the Combined Nations in June against England. And every one of them, the desire, you'd have to be, I wouldn't do it justice in trying and explain how enthusiastic and how pleased they were that the invitation was there for these players.
Yeah, you heard me mention in that interview there that I sat down with Cruz Lehman and Shaun Wane. Keep an eye out on this YouTube channel. Those interviews will be available throughout the week. Some really good insight from those guys as well. Great to hear from Ellery Hanley. Great to see him back in Rugby League. Moz, you actually played with him.
I did. I mentioned before, my greatest moment in Rugby League is representing my country, but a very, very close second is I got to play with him. I was a skinny 17-year-old at Leeds, and it was my debut at home against Hull, and I got to grace the field with Ellery, and he was just a fantastic player, and he was my idol growing up. So to play a game with him is right up there. But for what he did for the game and for Rugby League is you can't really put a price on it. And great to see him back in the sport, and just the way he talks. He's so passionate about the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how his team do at the weekend. Yeah,
Kev, he's not coached for quite a long time, but he knows more about rugby league just naturally, I would imagine, than pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, and just some people have an aura, don't they? He's in the same sort of ilk as Moz when you talk about legends of the international game. So having someone just walk in that room, whatever he says, you're being listened to. Some coaches, technically might have been, busier and know a little bit more at the moment. But people, if they're going to listen, they're going to listen to Ellery Hanley. And I grew up watching him dominate for Wigan, so all them players in there will respect what he says and he'll get them firing.
And he's got our mate Endo in there with him as well. If he coaches as well as he talks, that'll be all right, won't it?
He might not get a chance to talk, Ellery, if Endo's there.
Moving on, we brought you on this channel at the weekend. We brought you England versus Wales, the women's international, a win for England in that game. They go again this weekend against France as part of the doubleheader before England men against the All-Stars. That game's on Sky as well, and we can hear now from England winger Georgia Wilson. Georgia, part two of your international break. You had a good hit out against Wales at the weekend. Was it good to get back out there with England?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really nice to be back on the field with the girls, and it's a great opportunity for us all to get together. Obviously, we won. A win's a win at the end of the day. It was a bit of a scrappy win, but we had a few challenges with the ref, and things didn't go our way, but I think we dealt with it really well and managed to get the win.
It must always be special going into an England camp and playing for England, but I guess even more significant at the moment with the World Cup around the corner. Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously with these internationals, it's a great shot for you to show what you can do before the World Cup. And obviously you've got the Super League, and you've just got to perform each week consistently to get that place. But yeah, these last couple of games have been great for us to show what we can do.
We saw how much Wales had progressed in 12 months at the weekend. I'm sure you were expecting France to have progressed as well. It must be great for you as an England side to have real genuine competition from, you know, close neighbours, Northern Hemisphere sides.
Yeah, definitely. I think Wales were a physical side, and like you say, they came out and did better than they did last year with a stronger side. And I think France are going to be the same. They'll have improved. They'll have been developing like us and working on the things from last year. And obviously they're going to come out and they're a really physical side, and that's what we need as preparation for the World Cup.
Yeah, Georgia Wilson there, England women's winger. We said about the men's game that the international game had been blown to bits by COVID, even more so in the women's game. But Moz, when you're preparing for a World Cup and a major tournament like this, how crucial is it that you do get regular games, and how beneficial will back-to-back games be for the England side?
It'll be vital. I mean, this year's 2022 is going to be a celebration of rugby league on our doorstep. So it's great. We've got the men's, the women's, the wheelchairs, you know, World Cups over here, but you don't want to just say I competed in the World Cup. You want to come out and say I've won the World Cup. So vital preparations for the women. So you know, it's important they have a good performance, and you know, if they can rack up some great training sessions and some wins before the World Cup, it'll give them a great opportunity, I would say. Yeah, well, that's Saturday's action looked at. There's more to come this weekend though. On Sunday, the two best wheelchair teams in the world come head to head in Manchester when England take on France.
This is what they've been waiting for. The best two teams in wheelchair rugby league are going head to head. Hawkins going for the try! He's in! It's rugby league but in a wheelchair. The thrills, spills, the skills all on show. Lovely stop. Simpson still going. England flooding through the middle. Getting a try. What a try from Collins. Chance here. Collins is in. Collins ducks under one. Collins going for the leg. He's over.
Yeah, this could be a dress rehearsal for the World Cup final, which is also in Manchester. Two teams very well tipped to make that final, and the man doing his best to mastermind England's route all the way to World Cup glory is Tom Coyd, and I caught up with him. Tom, an exciting weekend for you, of course. You're back in action, England against France up in Manchester, Wally Range Basketball Centre. A key part, I guess, of your World Cup preparation.
Yeah, massive. I think really good opportunity. The guys are in mid-season domestically, so they'll be at the halfway point of how fit they'd like to be and how far along their preparation. So it's a really good measuring stick in the ground for us.
And the rivalry and the battle with France over the last couple of years has been pretty intense, and you are the best two teams in the world. You must be really pleased that you get a crack at them in a kind of a non-World Cup environment before you go and do it in a few months' time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the best game we could play. We've played at the end of May an internal selection game, which was, you know, the best of us versus the best of us. So other than playing against ourselves, I think it's the toughest competition we could come up with since Australia are so far away in a mid-season international. And I really hope France come over and test us, because they tested us big time in November, and it showed us exactly how far away we were from beating them in the World Cup. So again, we worked really hard in the first 6 months of this year, and yeah, we want to see how good we've got.
Yeah, that could be the game of the weekend. Two really, really good wheelchair sides, and that form of the game is absolutely thrilling, isn't it? A really good format of rugby league. Gents, wall-to-wall International Rugby League this weekend. It's really good to have it back. And Moz, it's just a little taste, isn't it, of what we're going to get in a few months' time and that World Cup on the horizon. It
is a little taste, and just listening to all the interviews there, you can see how excited people get when you're talking about International Rugby League. So this will whet the appetite, but I'm just saying roll on the World Cup. I mean, it'll be great this weekend, but it's so exciting to think what's going to happen in November.
Yeah, Kev, we're going to learn a lot about the teams across this weekend, and there'll be a lot of analysis, I'm sure, that will get picked to pieces, whatever happens in those performances. But it does just feel like a great opportunity to be just excited and really optimistic about rugby league, knowing what's coming.
And the fact that we've had to wait a little bit longer for it is whet the appetite even more. I think, you know, what we've been through over the last 2 years, to have the competition on our home soil, and it'll be so well supported. I just think, you know, like Moz says, it's great to put a shirt on and it'll be great this weekend for them lads to put a shirt on, but there's no better feeling than doing it in the World Cup, and hopefully one of them teams, or all three of them teams, can pick up the trophy at the end of it.
Just before we wrap up, gents, Moz, I'm going to come to you. Just talk us through what you got up to last week, because it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been over in the States on a charity bike ride for Rugby League Cares, which a fantastic charity that looks after the rugby league community. So we cycled from Niagara Falls on the border of Canada down to New York City. It was 550 miles and we did that over 6 days, so it was about 90 mile a day. Paul Wood was on the trip with Native and McAvoy, Keith Senior amongst other riders, but very, very tough, very gruelling, but a fantastic experience and very enjoyable. So they raised a lot of money, but you know, the Just Giving pages is still open if anyone would like to make a donation. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but we had a couple of days in New York to a bit of rest and recovery, which was nice as well.
We'll get that Just Giving link somewhere in the description. Kev, he says charity bike ride as if he went out for a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon. Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you just look at the state of him when he's retired. He's making us all look daft, isn't he? But no, it's just great. I think the charity they're doing for State of Mind, it's just so good for Rugby League and Rugby League Cares and what Moz has done and the lads there. They actually asked me to do it, and I just looked at it and some of the lads who were doing it, I said, I don't think I can do it, so I'd have slowed them down. I think it'd have still been going now, so fair play to them.
Yeah, well done, Moz, and everyone involved in that bike ride. Fantastic effort. Gents, thank you for joining us. Obviously loads to go at this week, a really exciting weekend for rugby league fans with the international triple header, and we'll be back next week on The Last Tackle to pick through all the juicy bits. Join us next week.